boys and girls around the world. It is once again 10 o'clock on a Friday night, so that must mean it's time for the WADcast. Writers, actors, directors, and every spot on a set in between. We talks about it all. Tonight, I am one of your hosts, Josh. Yeah, me, Josh. Joined as always by my cohort in Cambria.
Yeah. What is up, everybody? It's Brandon here. Good evening. Hi, Josh.
What's up?
Oh, man.
We are coming off an exciting last couple weeks on the WADcast, having a couple of excellent guests. If you haven't checked those out, episodes number 24 and 25, by all means, get around to it. Just don't drop the ball.
Oh, yeah. But no, it was a lot of fun having Kevin on, having Merritt on last week. It was all really awesome. I mean, I haven't actually really seen Merritt in a long time, so just hanging out, bullshitting with him for the 2 hours that we were on the show with him. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It really was.
Yeah. It's been a while since we've had a guest on up till a couple weeks ago, so being able to talk agency stuff, that was pretty interesting. And talking with Merritt about the acting, that was a lot of fun. But if I'm going to be perfectly honest, like we talked about before, it was getting a little too professional in here.
That's okay. That's probably going to change tonight. Don't worry.
We can hope. And by the way, if you're listening live, don't forget to say hello in the Facebook chat or in the Spreaker app. We will be here to take your comments and questions all night long, or until the show ends. Whatever comes first. In the meantime, if you're listening on a delayed basis, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, wherever you listen to this fine show. Tonight, we do have an interesting topic for you. At least, we seem to think so. Hopefully you will too. Brandon, tell them about what we're doing tonight.
Well, we're pretty much talking about everything that happens in film and television and talking about the effects that it has on the world today. It can go anywhere between, I guess. Well, I mean, I guess we're going to cover do acts of violence that happen in real life have any relationship to what is seen on TV, because that has been thrown numerous times at movies and television. Like, oh, well, these violent acts are acting because this is what's being seen today. That, and also I have a nice little list of technological advancements that were made in science that were pretty much inspired directly from what happened in movies. So, but I'll let you take it away from here.
All right, one of the things, sorry, I'm doing this thing where I drink a gallon of water a day. I got one of those fancy water bottles that's like, hey, it's 11 a.m., you're doing a great job. It's like, whew. So every once in a while I have to hydrate. You might hear a cap or something in the background. That's what that is. But yeah, one of the things that I'm hoping to get around to is figuring out what the responsibilities are of entertainment media when it comes to their messaging, and if they even have a responsibility at all to kind of sit back and look at what they're putting out in the world. It's really, really difficult to say. That's why we're going to have the discussion, and I'm still trying to figure out why my microphone levels just go up by themselves. Sorry for the uneven audio throughout the show. Apologizing in advance. All right, so the world. The world's in kind of a pretty pissy place right now. It's, I'm not going to say that it's definitely not entertainment media's fault, but with no kind of advanced psychological studies at my current disposal, I will say this, that things are different on a country by country basis, and what one has to wonder is the media different because of the cultural differences, or are the cultural differences because the media is different?
And see, I don't think, and it's been covered numerous times in like scientific journals and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're one of those nitwits that absolutely does not like science and does not believe in science or anything like that. First off, just guys, if you're one of those people that absolutely doubts anything that science has to offer, smack yourself in the head with a hardwood door. I mean, it's science is ever changing. There's no certainty in a lot of it because it can always be re-upped or reinvestigated. But
Right.
the thing is that with these journals, and not just science journals, but also psychological journals and everything else, they've heavily researched a lot of things that have happened, and they find no equation. Like at least when it comes to like mass shootings or murders or anything like that, they don't. These are choices that people make. Now, do they happen in movies? Yeah, they do happen in movies. You have like The Matrix, which you remember the whole thing with Columbine back in what was it, like 1999, I think it was. Was it 90? Well, was that 90?
96?
I don't. I want to say closer, probably like 97. It was my freshman year of high school. I think it was 97. Um, but it's just like you have these movies that are more affected by these acts that take place, in our world.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
Boondock Saints was set to come out. It was going to be like Troy Duffy's big breakout film and everything else, and then Columbine happened, and he had to halt it. Got a very limited release. And Matrix actually, like there's a scene where Neo's running around in a lobby, taking people out
Mm-hmm.
with semi-automatic weapons and fully automatic weapons, while wearing a trench coat. That's the best publicity you can get for that movie, considering what happened in Columbine. But I mean, like, well, what are your thoughts? I mean, like, like violent acts. I mean, this all comes back down to the thing with like Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam taking away their guns because they're too violent, which today that's laughable because, as I said before, all this online gaming that takes place, GTA 5, where you can go into a strip club and smack like digital strippers on the asses, or just start a fire and take out the firefighters when they show up, or kill cops or go on killing sprees. I do it myself, but I think that what's happening in the world is kind of handcuffing things when it comes to actual media. I think like everything's reversed, but what do you think?
I look at things that, like you said, going back to Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam, The Matrix. What was that movie? Chris Tucker, Charlie Sheen. I don't remember what it was called.
Money Talks.
Yes, that was it. And looking, I watched it for the first time within the last couple weeks. And it made me realize not only just how much the times have changed, but it really slaps you in the face how much entertainment media has also kind of changed in certain ways. I watched that movie, and there was one scene in particular where Chris Tucker, he's like in a deli, right? Just escaped from prison. Which, the whole movie is based on him escaping with this criminal overlord, blah, blah, blah. And once he gets free from, they try to kill him. Once he gets free from that, he's just like, okay, time to eat. So he goes to eat. And the movie did one of those things where there's a TV, playing in the restaurant, and sure enough, there's his picture, and also sure enough, there's a couple of cops, like looking at the TV, then looking at him, then looking at the TV, looking back at him. We've seen it, a million times.
Yes, he is so damn much in every. I was just watching that in, I think it was Underworld, one of the entries in Underworld, where Michael is, they're over in the Ukraine, I believe. And of course, of all times, when he's sitting down in this nowhere diner in the middle of nowhere, a news report comes on, and they happen to be watching a news report, not sports, in a pub setting, news. And his picture comes up where he's wanted in another country. Like, wait, what?
It's just one of those tropes that you wind up getting used to.
Yeah, it's lazy writing that furthers the plot. That's all it is.
The thing that absolutely floored me was the action of the police, which was they immediately drew their weapons and started shooting at him in this crowded restaurant.
I will have to go back and watch it. I haven't seen the movie in years.
Yeah, the bullets just start flying. Then they chase him and shoot him and chase him and shoot him. And it's like, oh my God, no wonder. It's like, wow, this is crazy. And a part of me, I'm not going to go into the whole we have a problem with policing in this country thing. This kind of touches along that subject area, but it doesn't go on a deep dive, so I'm not going to do that. But I do have to wonder, as I did watching this, how many, prospective officers watched things like this, where the officers just instantly start shooting, right?
Well, judging from today, probably quite a bit.
And would that have an effect on someone's decision-making abilities? Like it's ingrained in their subconscious that this is, how you deal with a situation like that. You see a fugitive, you start shooting.
Yeah. I'm actually watching the clip right now on YouTube. I'm curious, like now they're talking to each other. I feel like he's staring at them. They're staring at him.
Brandon Junk giving us the play-by-play for Money Talks.
He's smiling, and then he starts running. And sure enough, they pull out their guns and they're shooting in a crowded. Oh my God! And there's someone right behind the counter with them. Wow, my God!
See, that's the crazy part. At the time, it might have been seen as funny. It might have been seen as normal. But looking back at it through the lens of everything that's happened here, it's like, Jesus Christ. That's insane.
If that was ever deemed normal at all, that's just... Well, yeah. I mean, I get that. It's one of those deals where I like. That is such a horribly fictitious setting right there. Because I mean, even now, during there are videos that show up where cops are trying to take down one person, someone else steps in front of that person, and the cops have to holster their guns or put their guns down because they don't want to take that person out. It happens a lot. There's a lot of situations these days where there are quite a few trigger happy cops, and there are some really really good cops. There are some awesome cops, but it's just like the whole thing that cracks me up with that scene is that there's no hesitation. It's like, oh my God, black guy's running, let's shoot him now. He's running through a diner. You chase him out the diner. Then, if you want to shoot him then. It's it's still like a jerk reaction, like and they didn't just like even fire a shot when they thought they had a shot. They unloaded their clips on him,
Mm-hmm.
like just shooting everything while there are people within 5 feet of them eating their food. Like, wow. And I know it's a movie, but see, going back to what I was saying, is like I don't see how. Okay, like there was I believe actually recently our esteemed dictator in training, he blamed movies for violence as opposed to pushing for gun control. Now, with me, I'm actually a fan of like more things happening with uh psych checks and everything else, like like full on background checks on every single person, making it a pain in the ass to own a gun. So if you really want to own a gun, you'll own a gun. Now, that's not to say that the guns will not still exist. They will still be out there. They'll still be sold like on the side in different places. But people blame violence in movies, and there has been no correlation with violence in movies and pretty much gun violence. I mean, if you think about, guns have been around for how long now? A couple centuries. There's always been gun violence.
Yeah.
Like, and in all honesty, like even then, I think I read something in a report where from 1985 to 2011 or 2012 or something like that, gun-related violence, PG-13 movies got more and more violence as time went on. More violence has been put in those films, PG-13 films.
Mm-hmm.
Gun violence and everything else had actually gone down. It actually declined. Like, not like overnight, but like steadily. So it's just like you have that right there where it's just like, okay, well, you have it to where these acts that are being committed. I don't think someone's watching like The Matrix being like, oh yeah, look, he's taking out all those guards. I've got a list for some people I don't like in high school. I think I'm going to go take them out now. Like, I don't think that's how it works. Like the school shootings, unfortunately, I think Marilyn Manson said it best in Bowling for Columbine. When what was it? I think Michael Moore asked him uh, if there's anything that he would say to those kids if they're around today. And Marilyn Manson had like the most unexpected answer to me from any celebrity I could ever think of all people. It was him, uh, where he said, "I wouldn't say anything. I let them talk." Like, yeah, okay. Like, violence is, pretty much like I look at school shootings the same way I look at like a lot of riots that tend to happen. It's out of anger. It's out of anger. It's out of being pushed too far. I'm not talking about sporting events. Those are just drunken morons. Whether like Philadelphia Eagles or the Phillies, whoever. Whenever a team wins or loses in Philadelphia, there's always a riot, all the time. Like,
No, no. If they lose, it's called a riot. If they win, it's called a party.
yeah, but it's still like smashing in windows. But the thing is, like my point with all this
Property
is,
damage is still the same.
yeah, exactly. Now my point with all this is that like school shootings and everything else that happen, I have a hard time believing it stems from things like They Live or The Matrix or Boondock Saints or any of those movies where like guns are like pretty much like the cure all for everything. Shootings and everything else, like mass shootings, those are just sick, fucked up people. And that will not be my only one for tonight. I promise you guys that. They are just sick and very fucked up people. Um, when it comes to school shootings, I'm not saying that they're not fucked up, and I'm not saying that they're not sick. I think they are, but I think they're that way because they're turned into that. Whether it's at home or by being bullied or anything else, I think they just, at one point snapped, and they're like, "No, I'm not going to take this shit anymore." Like now, time to press back. But they do it in ways that are devastating. It's like the philosophy, like if you hit me with a brick, I'll hit you with a mountain. That's basically what that is to me. But then like to go along in the last like like very recently, where they're like, oh well, we're going to take away Elmer Fudd's shotguns and Yosemite Sam's 6 shooters. Like, why? Like, I was raised with that shit, and I'll tell you right now, I never thought about like getting a shotgun, going out and shooting a rabbit in the damn face. There's nothing realistic about the Mayway. Have you ever seen Yosemite Sam reload his guns? No. There's 6 shooters, but they're more like 50 shooters. And even like Elmer Fudd, he's chasing like Daffy Duck or Bugs Bunny. He's shooting at them. And it's just like you see buckshot after buckshot after buckshot. Like he's got a magic shotgun. Like I mean, the thing is like these aren't real situations. These are cartoons. I think even like what was it? I think oh god, I think in like the 80s or the 90s, using bullets in cartoons were actually replaced with lasers.
Oh yeah, you never saw the GI Joes fire a single bullet.
It was always lasers in GI Joe, but there was a I forget which cartoon, but the older cartoons where they would actually have bullets and everything else. I think in the 80s they started replacing bullets with lasers to ease back on impressionable gun violence. Being like kids would watch these shows, but I don't know.
And ramped up the patriotism.
Oh yeah, like I mean, but then again, that's if there's anything I can think of right now, the only thing, and I won't say it's influenced, I would say it's been misinterpreted and very much so by claimed by the Wachowskis was the red pill or blue pill. That was politicized so much, and you have people that watch this that honestly believe that that was a call to action for the Republican Party. Oh, take the red pill. The red pill sets you free. The red party will set you free. Like, well, yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about red being good, let's talk about red being bad. Okay. Have you ever seen a good guy in Star Wars with a red fucking lightsaber? No, you have not. Thank you very much.
Well, that's an interesting point, the red versus blue thing as far as the Matrix goes, because the whole point is asking yourself the question: do you want to see ugly reality, or do you want to live the fantasy? Because there's no at the end of the whole thing, you realize there's no wrong answer.
Yeah, it's all subjective. All of it is very subjective. But people make their interpretations and they run with them, and that is where violence starts getting blamed on media.
Now, as far as the violence goes, let me ask you: do you believe, whether it's Hollywood, Bollywood, or Nollywood, that there is an obligation to set the tone for the way the world should act?
No. I think that it's not up to any one industry. I think it's up to the artists themselves. Um, I think it's a good idea, but I don't think there's an obligation to it. Now, when Anthony had written the short for The Last Hit, and his short was very different from what I ended up with. I mean, he's credited as a co-writer, and I will always call him the co-writer for that short film. He doesn't feel the same way because of how much it was altered. Um, but in the original, it was just guys meeting up at a picnic bench and the boss being taken out as this guy's walking away with his money now. Uh, what Mark Hensley had actually, and we've had him on the show before. I've worked on a few things with Mark in the past, but what Mark Hensley had come up to me and told me, he was like, "Well, let's make this instead of making it like just your average white guy, black guy, or white guy against white guy, black guy against black guy, Italian guy against Italian guy. Instead of making like Hispanics and all like street smart or whatever else, like I mean, like you have that one guy that pretty much like plays the same kind of character in all these films. He was in Bruce Almighty. He was in Training Day. He was in Fast and the Furious. I forget the actor's name, but he always plays a Hispanic street thug all the time. He was the guy in Bruce Almighty who had the monkey come out of his butt.
Hector.
But movies always paint people in a certain way. This is where I think if there's an obligation, that it should be made to show a better side of people instead of the stereotypical sides. when we did the last sit, it was turned into a bunch of Hispanic people. I have a bunch of Hispanic family members. My stepfather is Hispanic. They are very, very like most of them are very sophisticated people. You can actually have these conversations. They don't speak like street thugs, not even like teenagers. You can just they speak like anyone else. But all the movies, they always have these people talking like they're just straight up from the streets. If they're Hispanic, they're from the street, or they don't speak an ounce of English. Um, so we try to up the playing field by actually getting Hispanic actors to play these Hispanic characters to then go ahead and go back to show that you know they don't always like end every sentence with essay. Like I mean, it's yeah, there's a lot of Spanglish at times, but like they like when speaking to each other, like a lot of times if they're speaking in English, they're very very articulated with their words. Um, it's like black people. I mean, like my girlfriend. I mean, you see this stereotypical woman. There are times where she has to remind me that she's black just by how she talks or carries herself. Because if she gets pissed off or she's frustrated, she's trying to hurry someone along, she'll say something, and after every syllable, she claps her hands. Um, there's very few things stereotypical about my girlfriend. Um, but with everything else, like I mean, speaking to her mom and everything else, what you see in a lot of movies is not what you actually experience in reality. So I think that yeah, I think there are certain times where obligations should come forward, and that has started happening more recent, like the last 20 some odd years. You started seeing more of just you know black characters actually being portrayed as being very articulated, like very well spoken, very educated people, as opposed to what you saw in a lot of the like 80s and 90s films, and because anything that was a black film then or based around like black lead role or something like that, it was always something like what you would see of Chris Tucker. He was the go-to token black guy to be in any kind of action or comedy, if that makes sense. And it'd be awesome if we had some people in the chat tonight, but we do not. I would love to hear some opinions on this stuff. But,
Just
I mean, what?
just want to say real quick, the guy that you're talking about is Noel Guglielmi.
Okay.
For those watching on the Facebook live feed, there's a meme going around where he
It's
plays,
fake. He's not Hector in every single one. That's funny though.
but the idea is that this is the only type of role that he gets.
He plays. Like yeah, man. It's like, and I don't know if it's him actively seeking out that role or if it's a matter of being typecasted into it. But he can do much better than that.
I'm pretty sure he's like maybe he's just happy
Easy,
to get paid, be in the business, that kind of thing. Who knows?
easy money. The thing is, if you ever watch like an interview of him, he's not even acting. He's pretty much just like shows up and reads lines and gets paid really well.
I would love to be known as that guy in anything. We need this type of person. Well, we know a guy. He is the guy for that role. But again, with everything going on in the world, it seems like everybody has either taken some sort of arbitrary side when it comes to everything from politics to video game consoles to comic book companies. It just seems like everybody is like literally at war with each other just because there is a difference of opinion for the most part when it comes to some of these things. And the entertainment industry is absolutely no different, since I think what we're saying is it's more of a reflection of the society rather than an influence. And the thing is, what What is entertainment's position when it comes to messages to the people, to I'm going to say influence things as far as mindset. I'll tell you what.
See, I go ahead.
One of sorry, I'm battling this volume thing. One of the best shows that I've seen when it comes to this type of messaging, this type of branding, has been Blackish, because it takes the the sitcom tropes, and it takes the dynamic of a primetime TV family sitcom, and every once in a while it turns it on its head. This season opened up with two parts, a two-part opener talking about basically the history of the voting process in America, tied into the story of the show, which to me was pretty amazing. That it was so informative yet entertaining. And also another unlikely source of interesting satire was the first couple of episodes of The Simpsons this season, where even my kids, and sure they're all smart cookies, but they're watching it, like literally seeing the parallels that they're going for with real world situations.
Oh, Simpsons started doing that now, huh?
Oh, they've been doing it since the beginning.
Well, they've done it. But I'm getting at it, it's like if they're doing it more often now, like because they would touch on it once in a while every other season, maybe.
It was not
It
so
wasn't like a
brazen in the
commonplace
past.
theme, huh?
It wasn't nearly so brazen in some ways. Yeah, in the '90s you had
I
your
think
Clinton stuff,
Homerphobe.
but
I think Homerphobe was the one that really caught a lot of people off guard when it actually talked about like issues against the gay community. Because I mean that actually got a lot of flack too. I mean they got eaten up over that one. Like Matt Groening's just like, well, like Homer Simpson. Like my favorite line that he's ever said, that I've actually quoted myself whilst going out, and I'll get to the occasional gay bar. You actually get some damn good conversations from people there.
some good
But
drinks.
Homer, like, yeah, I mean, I'm a classy broad, man. Like, I mean, I like it when someone buys me drinks, and it only happens in a gay bar. But what do you call it? Homer Simpson says flat out, "I was like, I'm not gay, but I'll learn." I don't know why that line has stuck with me for so many years, but it just cracked me up. And I had a guy approach me in a bar. I think I was at a bachelor party with my ex girlfriend way back in 2009. Bachelor bachelorette party combined. We all went out together, and I had this guy Pete, that just kept talking me up. I still remember him. He was a really cool dude. I didn't know I was in a gay bar, but the guy asked me what I thought about the gay community. Once he realized that I was not gay, I was like, "Well, I'm not gay, but I'll learn. I mean, if the price is right, like $20, $20, right?" But the thing is that The Simpsons touched on this topic. Mr. Rogers, like, I mean, he is the epitome of what you're speaking of when it comes to what is the obligation of the entertainment industry. Mr. Rogers tackled things. After I think after a group of black people were swimming, and I think hydrochloric acid was poured into the swimming pool while they were in it. He invited a black gentleman onto his show. Had a little tiny wading pool, like a small, like infant sized wading pool for him to dip his feet in, and he invited the gentleman to dip his feet into the pool along with him. Pissed off a lot of people, but he felt it was his obligation to show that skin color isn't a difference worthy of pretty much being treated like an animal. It's not worthy of discrimination. Simpsons, like I appreciate what they're doing as far as I guess retiring characters, like retiring from characters because of like a sense of moral obligation. I understand that. I get that we're in 2020. I get that there are things that you cannot do, but I'm thinking like, just why? It has been an issue for 20, almost well, like almost 30 years now. No, 20, no, 25 years, almost 25 years, right? 35 years. When did it come out? It's been over 30 years, right?
1988.
Okay, so 32 years. Um, Simpsons is 32 years old. In those 32 years, this was never an issue. Suddenly, it's an issue, and it goes back to again moral, a sense of moral obligation from like the actors and everything else. And I respect them for their choices, but it's just I don't know. I don't have a very popular opinion because of how I guess interracially my entire family upbringing has been. I don't really have that filter. People will get offended by what I have to say, but I don't know. Simpsons has touched on a few things. I think Matt Groening kind of also kind of sees it as his obligation for certain things to really touch on. Um, the one that cracks me up that does it the most that you would never expect out of all the TV shows is actually South Park. Touches on so many things
You
and
can't
does it
touch
in
on
such
it
a
like a priest touch on a child.
oh my god. But no, it's like the show really does like just tackle so many societal issues, and it just shows how stupid these issues are to even exist.
Yeah, yeah, they're very much on the ball when it comes to having their pulse on what's
Like,
going on in the world.
like, have you seen the pandemic special?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, hey, 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 put on your chin diaper.
This special's not helping anybody, Randy. Yeah, it was. At first, watching it, I was like, "Wow, could this be the one thing where I'm like, Matt Trey, this could be in very poor taste." But as the special went on, I was like, "Oh wow, they're really touching on it here," and yeah, I think they absolutely nailed the special.
Oh
Of course, they
yeah,
generally
like I mean,
do.
just it. Excuse me. Yeah, no, it was hysterical. The way they did it. Um, Second here. I don't know. That's going to affect my. Can you hear me? Okay.
You dropped maybe a couple of bit rates, but yeah, you're doing fine.
Okay. Uh, but no, it's like it's one of those things where like I really don't think it's anyone's responsibility to tell everyone to be a better person. I think people should just fucking do it.
That would be nice.
Like, I shouldn't have to make a TV show and be like, oh, well, this is why racism is bad. Oh, is that why I don't say the N word? Okay, I'll stop doing that. Oh, this is why you don't like, shoot your friend in the face. Oh, well, thank God I should put this gun down. Like, this is why you don't touch little children inappropriately or in sexual ways. Oh, then I should stop.
Dick Cheney. What?
What?
I said Dick Cheney because he
Oh,
he
God.
he did
Oh,
shoot one of his friends in the face.
well, and I mean, and that's exactly my point. Like, I mean, just gun violence. A lot of the times, most of the times, most times, I believe gun violence it's not gang affiliated. There's actually very like very minimal gang affiliated gun violence right now as it is. So it's actually gone down quite a bit. I think they said like right now most of the gun violence is actually at the hands of police officers, premeditation amongst citizens, or accidents. So,
Self-inflicted kind of leads the way on that too.
and yeah, no, yeah, self-inflicted as well. And that's the biggest one. Look, if I think you're right with that. As far as everything else, like, I mean, no one watches a damn kung fu movie and then goes out and immediately starts like trying to fight people in kung fu ways. Now
God,
I
it would
do
be great if they
remember
did.
it'd be fucking hysterical. I do remember when Fast and the Furious came out though, and all of a sudden everyone was a street racer. All of a sudden everyone went out and got like lighting kits for their cars and spoilers and decals and all because it was in Fast and the Furious. Now that's the cool thing. We got to be street racers, or look like we even know how to street race. I remember in Jacksonville when me and Marcus went to go see this in theaters. I remember that there were people that were leaving trying to organize races with people on the way out the door. And I rolled my eyes thinking, like, you guys are fucking retarded. Come on. Like, why are you going to go out there and try to organize a damn race?
You know what? Funny story. Um, I had a similar experience to that after the Fast and the Furious movies came out, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, we're gonna go out somewhere." Didn't say where. He just said, "Follow me." So we loaded up the people we knew. Okay, he loaded up a girl, and I rode by myself. But we loaded up. I followed him, and we were on. Oh God, what's the name of that road? Off the Hart Bridge. That long stretch
Liberty
of it.
Street,
I don't remember.
Main
No,
Street.
no, off the Dames Point. Excuse me.
Oh, I don't know.
Way back there. It's the very long stretch of road.
I-10.
No. But there were a lot of cars there that looked like they wanted to be Fast and the Furious cars, but Jacksonville means no budget, so they didn't quite get there. And they started lining up, and he's like, "We're here to watch the races." And like, the races? Oh, and it started, clicking. And that's when the police showed up.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, see,
People started, leaving, and they blocked the road, and we were all in a line.
oh my
And
God.
the officer, I was at the very very end of the line because I was not driving anything that could race. And the officer comes up and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, I just followed a friend." And he's like, "Oh, so you didn't know there was racing going on here?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Yeah, whatever. You didn't believe me." But he's like, I've given every car here a citation for racing." I was like, "Oh." He's like, "But I'm not giving you one." I'm like, "Really?" He takes a step back, kind of looks at the car, and he's like, "No." He said, "Just be careful and don't be a part of this."
Uh, no, there's an old buddy of mine. Haven't seen him in a few years, but we used to be like really good buddies. Like we used to hang out all the time and everything. This guy Rick, he had this Dodge Neon. Of all cars, it was a Dodge Neon. He was so proud of this car. He was so proud of it. But it had a full-on body kit, lower grill and everything else, lower side panels, a giant, like obnoxious looking wing on the back, and he had it was like this, like this, I guess, like an ocean blue color. The whole thing was like just straight up blue, no decals, no nothing. But he had a blue uh, lighting kit on the undercarriage. Inside, he had a PlayStation in the glove box. He had a retractable, screen where you could watch DVDs and everything else. The money he sunk into this thing, I've never stopped cracking up because this is a guy that, like, you would think that someone drives a car that's all souped up to try to look like, Paul Walker in Fast and Furious would be playing like rap music or some kind of like rock music. This son of a bitch would be pulling up playing NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, just bouncing around singing along to it. Occasionally, you'd hear like a Nelly song pull up in his mix, but then once that was over, it's more Backstreet Boys or NSYNC. But oh my god. So like I guess in that standpoint, yeah, life does imitate art quite a bit because it did happen. I don't really think that it would be happening with the modern day Fast and Furious films where they have like submarines popping out like through a glacier and everything. I don't think that it would happen now. Um, Especially considering the newest trailer where Dom runs into a rope bridge and ends up pulling us like a Tarzan with his car. Um, but back then, when Brian and Dom were robbing tractor trailers with the crews for TV VCR combos, you know, there were a lot of Honda Civics that were sold that year. I promise you that.
Yes.
But in the sense of everything else, really, it's no one's obligation, and no one should have to go out there and tell people to stop being dicks. Uh, um, V for Vendetta has touched on things. What cracks me up is you have events that take place in movies, and that is a one time where people can come together and not be assholes to each other. Is watching a movie, they can come up and be like, "Oh, that movie's pretty good." Oh yeah, it really was, man. Like you could have two completely conflicting political ideals, and amongst those two people, but they'll never know it. Um, this movie, I think it was either called Frenemies or Best of Frenemies. I forget what the actual name. It came out last year. Danielle and I went to go see it. It's based off a true story with a black councilwoman, a black city official, or a black teacher, or something like that. I think she's like a black mom, and she ends up having to work with a member of the KKK. And as in real life, they actually became very close friends. Like they died, damn near being inseparable. Um, Now that's of course based on a real situation on two very real people. But I think more films, if you're going to change anything, if you're going to start changing anything, if you feel a sense of obligation, like gun violence, I don't give a shit about gun violence in films. I mean, it's if anyone for a second thinks like things like Lethal Weapon is remotely accurate, just in the from a physics standpoint, oh, I shot that car one time in the tire, the whole car blew up. Like it's not going to happen that way.
It doesn't happen that way?
No, not to my. I mean, you never saw Last Action Hero where he shoots the side of the car. He's like, oh, usually that blows it up.
Underrated movie, by the way.
but I mean, the point is like, Mel Gibson harassing a guy for jaywalking. Mel Gibson, you know, Riggs would have been fired in no time just to lawsuits on not only from citizens but from owners of buildings that he's blown up. I mean, what was it like the one scene I think in Lethal Weapon 3 where they're trying to defuse a bomb, and it's either 2 or 3, and they're in a parking structure. There's a cat on top of the car and everything else, and Riggs like, "Oh, I'm going to take care of this." Murtaugh's like, "Well, no, wait for the bomb squad, Riggs. I'm too old for this shit." Riggs cuts the wrong wire. The timer starts like counting down faster. Riggs like, "Murtaugh, yeah, get the cat," and they just run out. And they blow up the whole building. He would have been like, just there's limitations as to what will be tolerated by a police officer. A lot of these films are purely fiction. They serve absolutely nothing that anyone can really, I guess, I don't know, say influence. Even that dumbass that shot up the theater in Aurora, Colorado. Was it Colorado?
Yeah.
Okay. The sick fuck that shot up a theater during the Dark Knight Rises premiere or opening night. He dyed his hair orange and said something about like call him the Joker or something, or refer to himself as a Joker. Or I think the guy, if he didn't say it, like it became like a rumor. I forget what happened with it, but he was an engineering student. I think it wasn't his apartment something like really booby traps when they were trying to go in there. Like, wasn't like just loaded with booby traps.
I recall hearing something about that. I don't really remember.
He's a sick fuck. I mean, he didn't just go out and the Joker didn't just go shoot up theaters.
No.
Like the Joker went after the mob, and he went after he just wanted chaos. He he went after certain targets to feed the city into chaos. This guy would just like took some guns into the theater and unloaded. It's
Yeah.
a cowardly act. But yeah.
You know, um, this kind of brings me to another point. As far as the violence goes in movies and television, I hope I'm not the only one thinking this, but I don't know. To me, unless it's done in a unique way or just exceptionally well, I think maybe gun violence in and of itself is played out.
Well, yeah. I mean, but
We had John Wick, bringing the whole gun fu thing, to the forefront, and it looked amazing.
hey, he used knives too, man. He
Yeah,
just used
not
anything he could.
yeah, pencil. It didn't
Yep.
it didn't matter, but just from a okay, case in point, somebody in the screenwriters group a while back mentioned that they had a script they were working on and asked the question, should I add the gun stuff because the budget may not, be available for squibs and guns and things like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the answers were, "Hey, write your story," and I'm always, down for that. That will 99% of the time be my answer. But for this particular question, I said, I don't know, maybe find a resolution without the gunplay.
Yeah.
Make it a battle of wits, because just seeing two sides fire weapons at each other until there's no one left standing, it can be dull, in my opinion. But seeing a mental game of chess play out on screen is, to me, far more intriguing.
Well,
You
yeah.
know,
And
yeah,
but but it's just like, I mean, going back to what I was saying earlier about like Donald Trump last year saying last year, the year before, talking about gun violence based off of the back-to-back mass shootings between El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio, and like 31 people were killed. Well, killed. I'm sorry, 31 people. Yeah, 31 people were killed, and like God, so many more were just injured in it. But what he said. Let me see if I can find the quote real quick. I had it up. Here it is. Uh, he said, "You talk about racism. Hollywood is racist. What they're doing with the kind of movies they're putting out, it's actually very dangerous for our country." And then he went on to tweet about the movie The Hunt. Uh, the movie coming out is made in order to inflame and cause chaos. Um, as it's pretty much like, I'm sorry. Here we go. What was it? Yeah, and I think The Hunt was actually about like that was about the liberals that were hunting conservatives, right?
that was always the rumor.
Okay. There was a movie that Kevin Smith did that was outside the Vosky universe with like Jane, or like without Jane Silent Bob and all that other stuff, called Red States,
Mm-hmm.
about conservatives in a cult like church, like the Westboro Baptist Church, very conservative people, Republican people, and they announced in the movie, uh, killing people, like in very graphic ways. I think like there was one where they wrapped a guy in cellophane and then they shot him downward into his head. Um, this is not like a regular Kevin Smith film. This is like the very first time I ever saw something like, holy shit, he directed this. Um,
Oh yeah, it was
it's
his
actually
direct response to the Westboro Baptist Church.
yeah, and it was a damn good movie. I actually really like that movie. But that never comes up. Like liberals don't bring up that movie. They're like, oh well, I mean, conservatives, how dare they do this against like that? Never that argument never came up with that movie. The Hunt, the only publicity that movie mainly got was from pissed off conservatives.
Yeah.
And I've got conservative friends and everything else. If you're listening to this, I don't give a fuck if this pisses you off or not. I really don't. Um, but you guys bitch about just as much shit as those that you say always bitch about a lot of shit. You guys bitch, bitch, bitch nonstop. There's an old saying. I think Sue posted something online, and it reminded me of this quote that I saw years ago. And it said, "A man climbed up to a mountaintop and shouted out to the universe, 'I exist.' And the universe replied with, 'That does not instill in me a sense of obligation.'" No one is obliged to do anything to try to make the world a better place through TV media. I think that they should naturally want to. I don't think it's an obligation. But at this on the same token, I think that if you have the talents to do something, not like that woman with the cuties, she could have actually really done something great with that film. But she made the film she made. Um,
And much like The Hunt, it was widely criticized and panned by people that never saw it.
oh yeah, I know. Well, that's what happens. I mean, just it's one of those deals where oh God, something to be mad about today. I'm going to show the world how pissed off I am. That's what the world is today. I mean, people just have to deal with it. You're going to be pissed off. Something's going to come along and piss you off. A conservative friend of mine posted something that was very hypocritical because he's the polar opposite of it. But it was a meme talking about how if he sees something that offends him, he moves on. He doesn't raise hell. He doesn't cry, yada, yada, yada. This man bitches about anything that he doesn't agree with. It's instantly banned. It's evil. It needs to be shut down. I mean, it's like, oh, well, liberals don't like that Chick-fil-A donates to the Republican Party. Oh, a bunch of snowflakes are they're going to cry about that. Oh, well, this company did this for a Democratic president. I guess I'm blacklisting them. Like, what? Weren't you just crying about like Chick-fil-A yesterday? It's like, well, that's different. Well, why? Because liberals. Like, okay.
For those of you watching on the Facebook stream, that is at the WADcast on Facebook or at the Semicore Studios Facebook page. I threw up a picture of Kevin Smith, to go with the conversation that we briefly had about Red State and whatnot.
But so I mean, like, well, you have my opinion on that. Like, I don't think that it's anyone's obligation. I think that it's more one of those things where if you feel the need to do it, then you should do it. No one's saying that's your responsibility to do it. No, I think that there's a certain responsibility to show some truth. I think that's definitely a responsibility. I mean, you have all these so-called true stories that come out that have so many facets that are the furthest from the truth. The Blind Side, Pursuit of Happiness. There are things that happen in these movies that are just complete bullshit, just further the plot and make the character look more sympathetic. But yeah, I think like you should actually be willing to tell the truth, and I think you should be willing to really put yourself out there. But if you want to go so far as to try to make the world a better place, if you feel like that's what you have to do, then I think that you should do it. But to say one is obliged to do something, I don't believe in that. If I have a camera and I want to write one of my dick and fart jokes movies, that's what I'll write. I think that the writer should be obligated to keep with the times and know that things are changing. I think that the production houses should be obligated to properly market a film. That's what I feel. I also feel like they should be obligated to not give you every single detail in every fucking film that ever comes out. But, don't just show the stuff that you think is going to fill seats like what happened with the Cuties. And that movie comes up a lot there, but it's one of those deals where marketing.
Hmm.
we shouldn't have to rely on the film industry to tell us that we're pieces of that we shouldn't be pieces of shit. We should just not be pieces of shit.
It would be nice if more of us took that message a little more to heart, and that's not along any kind of particular ideology, because people are terrible across the spectrum.
People suck, man. Just gotta deal with it. That has never changed since the dawn of human history.
Now, one of because first, I completely agree that nobody should be under any obligation to try to fix the world, especially in the entertainment industry. There are a countless number of shows out there that they exist for the sole purpose of bringing the chuckles. They don't touch on subjects. Maybe they want to tug on the heartstrings a little bit, and they current events are just not a part of that, right? They don't touch on anything nearly controversial, and that's okay. You're not going to watch an I was going to say an episode of Scrubs, but that's come under stupid fire because of certain episodes. Um, Searching for a good example here, it's hard to find. Well, you're not going to find some shows. Well, you're going to find some shows that aren't doing any kind of messaging. They aren't trying to do any activism, and that's okay because not everything has to have a life-changing, life-affirming message, right? It's about the entertainment. But, like you said, if there are shows out there like Blackish or The Simpsons or even Last Man Standing, right, that want to tie just a little or a lot of activism or um, subtle messages about the writers and the cast's political leanings, that's okay too. But when you decide to do that, and that's why I give praise to the writers of Blackish for what they did in the season openers. When you decide to do that, there is, I think, a line to be walked. Like you said, it becomes an obligation to make sure you're putting out truth. That you're
Yeah.
not just spouting opinions or theories or anything like that, because you are presenting something in a way that is meant to draw that particular crowd. And if there are people that enjoy, like, if conservatives like to watch Blackish, right? They got an interesting message about voting in America and the rights of black voters and how they have not been the most equal in our country's history.
Yeah. Yeah.
So imagine being told that. So imagine you didn't have any clue that this was the history of your very own country. What you might feel after watching something like that. I mean, first of all, I can imagine a lot of people being pissed off saying, I watch my shows for the chuckles, so don't try to preach at me, blah, blah, blah. You know what? If these episodes made you mad, then you haven't watched the show at all. Second of all, they might accidentally learn something.
Yeah.
And that can be scary. Having a worldview changed. Like I remember through our mutual, uh, I'll say colleague. Why the hell not? Whom we met each other through.
Yeah.
One of the things that he was absolutely right about when we first started working together we were talking about racism, and I I looked at him and said, I can't be racist. I was born in the 80s. And that that made him laugh. Seriously. And looking back, it makes me laugh because I know there are people my age that are super racist. I don't know them, but, I know they exist. And he said, that should be put on a shirt. I can't be racist. I was born in the 80s. And I said that because I grew up in a time where, we had Saved by the Bell. Screech, a white dude, was chasing after Lisa Turtle. Something that even members of my own family said, that's not right. And I was like, why? It's absolutely normal. He's a nerdy guy and he wants the hot rich chick. It makes sense to me because we were given that message that, hey, we're all equal, none of this matters. Unfortunately, not everybody, A, got that message, and B, believes the message when they did. And it blew my mind, blew my mind to read story after story about, different attacks and different suppression tactics employed by my government.
Oh yeah.
Over the years, and in some cases still actively happening. And I was naive enough to think that racism's not a problem. But I learned otherwise really quickly. But of course, I'm in a position to where I don't have to. Well, I didn't have to recognize it. I didn't have to see it every day. And tell them to slow down. They're going too fast.
Yeah, sorry about that. Got the windows open here. But you're saying
the point is, I had to relearn a lot of things. There are some people out there that'll say that he got brainwashed. No, I just had to. I had to relearn how things actually worked, and who they actually worked for, and instead of, I guess, appreciating this privilege that I was born with, I started feeling bad. And I started seeing things on TV and in the theater through this weird lens. Like we've talked about this before. Revenge of the Nerds. A great movie, right? At the time. But when you break it down, there's all sorts of craziness, voyeurism, and rape, and things like that just would not fly today. And this is what I'm talking about.
Dude, there's, and we've had, like you said, we've had this conversation. There's a lot of movies that would never get made today. I mean, for crying out loud, even if they were to update it, American Pie would never get made today. I mean, the whole movie is about a bunch of guys that made a pact to get laid by any means necessary.
They made that movie last year. It was called Cock Blockers.
Well, it's different. I'm talking
girls.
about but they were talking about losing their virginity on prom night. These guys were just talking about just losing their virginity on prom night, but with them, by any means necessary. And the thing is they all lost their virginity on prom night. Now all of them. They just after they lost their virginity, that's when they kind of I guess the only two people rather in the entire film that didn't learn a goddamn thing about themselves was Jim and Stifler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Jim, like, oh my God, she used me. Wait, I got used. Cool. But I mean, like the whole scene with the with what's her face stripping on the webcam with a hidden webcam that would never fly today. That was
Hmm.
funny then. You know, 21 years later, that's not exactly funny.
Hidden
So
cameras? No, no, that would not. That would not be acceptable.
I
Even though
mean,
it did bring about a great Blink 182 cameo.
no, absolutely no. The whole scene's hysterical.
Go
But
Drake boy, it's your birthday.
there's a lot of movies that kind of got past that they're being grandfathered in because they've existed for so long. Um, but it's just like there's lots of things that you've got to change with the times. That's what it comes down to. You can write whatever you want. You can make whatever movie you want. Hell, make whatever TV show you want. There are some messed up TV shows too.
Hmm.
But if nothing ever gets done with anything you put out there, understand it is on you because you don't want to change with the times. Hell, even the groomsmen. I have no intentions of ever doing anything with the groomsmen. If something happens with it, fantastic. I would love it. Like I mean, I've gotten awards off the ass for that script. Excuse me. But the word fag was used a lot in it because that's how I spoke with my friends back when I was a kid. Like I used to like, me and my friends used to like refer to each other as that, like joking around. I mean, it's we used to play the like you're gay game. Like just that's it. Like now I look back, I'm like, that wasn't really cool. Like it's and you know the word fag or faggot is used in that script quite a few times. I went back and I took it out of any page that was in. Like it's just not something that I think would ever really belong. And I had to, update the script anyway because in the script, one of the side plots is a character ends up dropping a digital camera into a toilet, and the whole subplot is that they have to go find the exact same digital camera and pass it off as the person it belongs to. Now it's more common for something like that to happen with a cell phone, but there's no passing off the cell phone for somebody else. I had to pretty much strategize how I was going to make that subplot work. But it comes with, just keeping up with the times. What was funny then, damn sure isn't funny now. It may be memorable. And it's still funny to watch those films like, oh yeah, he really got her. And then you're like, oh wait, no, 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 no. The nerd just raped the jock's girlfriend, man.
Hmm. Yeah, that totally happened.
And she was okay with it when she found out.
Which would not be what really happens. There would be a police report, and that nerd would be in prison for quite a while.
Yep. And he'd end up on a special little list too. But
But
yeah,
that
so
that still doesn't obligate Hollywood, especially or anybody, to not put that in an upcoming movie, but to do so, you do really at your own risk. And I'm speaking from a writer's perspective, right? Um, sure, that if let's say I wrote Revenge of the Nerds today and kept it everything as it is and tried to sell it. I don't think I would be very successful with a few of those scenes in there. Not at all. Um, but the point is, I wouldn't be obligated to take him out, but in the interest of business, and I know that there are a lot of you WADs out there listening, whether it's live or on a delayed basis. I know you're listening. From a business standpoint, it's not prudent.
no.
So we take these lessons that we learned about society and what is, and I hate to use the term, but what is PC and what isn't, And for maximum profitability, we have to assess what is worth pushing the envelope for.
Oh yeah.
And you can have the raunchiness, you can have the violence, you can have anything and everything you want in your movie if you're a writer. But if you want money to make it, there, chances are you're going to have some concessions, and those things that you think are wonderful that you remember from your childhood, like the nerd raping the pretty girl. Let's not beat around the bush. Loved the movie back in the day, but that's what it was. That would not fly. And it's
No.
not a matter of anybody trying to control you, but people that want to give you money to make your art, investors, want to make their money back. And sometimes that means trimming the fat as far as controversy goes.
Pretty much.
But you're under no obligation to anybody but yourself. If you don't think your story flies without the controversy, then by all means, do what you want. But whether it sells, that's a completely different animal, and it is definitely not the responsibility of the entertainment industry, the entertainment media, to regulate or normalize or do anything. It is not a responsibility that these companies are forced to make. It shouldn't be. I'll put it that way. I know someone out there is going to, tweet at me. Yeah, but this organization or this government agency is mandating that there has to be certain racial guidelines to met, or certain LGBTQ organizations will actively boycott a production company if there isn't this representation percentage in their productions. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every once in a while, especially when it comes to race, there are agencies that step in and say, "Hey guys, you not know any people of color? You just don't know anybody? You can't call somebody to bring some food to the set at least? Come on, let's get some representation here on set." And that I can understand why some people would say that could be a bit problematic, because you want to hire who you want to hire, and you don't want to worry about the background, racial background. You know what? I don't even know how to say it the right way right now, because even though it was my day off, I still got up super early, so I'm a little tired. It might sound it might sound awful what I'm trying to say. So the point is, there shouldn't be any obligation. But if the industry wants to voluntarily help promote any kind of activism, whether it's in your face or through subtext of art, then by all means, we shouldn't stand in their way. We should just vote with our wallets as far as the money we throw down and the projects we support. That's my opinion.
Agreed. I think I deleted my list by the way. I was going to have another talking point about technological advancements, and I completely deleted my list by accident. We'll use it for another show, though.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like something we can go off for like an hour about by itself. So, anything more to say about the responsibility of media, entertainment media in the world today?
No, no, my opinion is very cut and dry. Form your own damn opinion. Stop being a bunch of shitheads.
Yeah, we give our
I'm
opinions.
easy.
You guys have your opinions. It's all good. And in fact, if you have a differing opinion, by all means, in the comment section of these Facebook videos, leave them. We can always bring it up again in the future. On the next episode. Hey, this is what so and so thought about this, and we'll get your voice out there too. We're not afraid to ignite a conversation, and Brandon sure as hell not afraid to ignite a shitstorm.
Nope.
In fact, I think he stands on the beach with a lightning rod going, "Come at me!"
I mean, I like to piss off a bunch of hardcore Christians by explaining to them like how half their religion is pretty much based off of paganism. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Gee, cultural appropriation goes back a long way.
yep.
Um,
Oh yeah.
so, long story short, if you're just tuning in, hey, where you been? Uh, otherwise, yeah, like Brandon said, form your own opinion about what the role of media entertainment is in the world, because they're going to do what they do no matter what, and it's up to you to support it or not. And once enough people stop supporting it, just like magic, it goes away. So, Brandon,
What?
do you have access to the interwebs?
I do.
Can I send you a link to something?
Go for it.
I've been a busy little rabbit. No, I don't know why I said that, but I've been up to something, and I'm going to send you a link to it right this second. And then I will talk about it as soon as you have it open. Just let me know when you have it open so I can tell the people about what they're looking at.
What are you sending it to me on? Oh, here it is. Okay, I got it right here.
Facebook.
I got it. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I I've been making some designs, and I went to TeePublic and uploaded those designs, and well, there's merchandise. If anybody is interested in sporting Semicore Studios gear or WADcast gear, that we just go to tpublic.com/user/Semicore. There will be a link somewhere on one of our pages. We'll get to those in just a second. But I wanted to know what Brandon thought about the, we'll say, Gen 1 designs.
I love the writers, actors, cameraman logo. I like them. They're good.
One of my favorites, and I'm probably going to order this for myself, is the writer logo.
See, I can't wear shit like that out here in California because it's already. I don't want to say sad. There's a lot of people that want to write out here that have zero who I'm looking for drive. They have zero commitment or anything like that, but they always pass themselves off as writers and everything else. And before the apocalypse happened, I would see people all the damn time in coffee shops with their laptops strategically turned to where other people can see that they're writing a screenplay. I get it. You want to call yourself a writer, that's fine. If you're writing, you're a writer. You're not a paid writer, but you're still a writer, nonetheless. But a friend of mine bought me a shirt uh, about like how I'm a screenwriter. This is what I do. I'm like, okay. They asked me, was like, hey, did you wear the shirt? Yeah, I was like, I'm never wearing that shirt. But why not? It's like, you have any idea how quick I'll just be laughed at walking down a sidewalk in Hollywood wearing a "I'm a screenwriter" shirt. Like, I mean, do people in fast food walk down the street saying "I'm a Burger King employee" shirt? No, they wear their fucking shirt on the way to work, and that's about it.
Yeah.
They don't wear T-shirts saying like "I'm a proud employee of Burger King."
I thought the irony loving crowd would dig it because it says, it's plain, it's in like a typewriter font, and it says writer with quotation marks around it. So you're a writer. You get what I'm saying?
I get it. I like it. Like I said, I do like the shirts. I like the designs. I like the Semicore Studios one. It's kind of vintage looking.
Yeah, yeah, that's the vibe I was going for.
So
And right
it's good.
now, for the next 3.5 hours, everything's on sale too. How about that?
Well, it says here it's $13 for 2 days. Or did you put this up yesterday? And you just now started talking about it.
Well, on my site it says price increase in 3 hours, 32 minutes, and 41 seconds.
Okay, well, it says here $13 for 2 days, 22 hours, 13 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Okay, so you have 22 hours to get some of these designs for a cheaper rate. And it's not just like the writer, the podcast life, and then writing, acting, directing. They don't have the any kind of podcast branding on them. Well, the writers, actors, directors is the title of the show, but it's in icon format. So yeah, I didn't think it through. I should have put the logo on, but just to like have it on the back, right below the neck or something, very tiny. So no, I didn't quite think it through, and I did want to keep costs down, but just cool stuff. And I'm sure Brandon, if you want to throw some designs up there, by all means, do it.
I'd say for the design of our actual like logo for the WADcast.
So there's that. That's a thing. That is tpublic.com/user/Semicore. But there are other places to find us on the internet. Brandon, why don't you start telling people about the things that you manage when it comes to the podcast?
Oh yeah, you can find us over on oh, excuse me, you can find us on Facebook, Facebook / the WADcast. You'll find our whole page if you already listen to this. If you're listening to this podcast in the future through Facebook Live on our page, then you already have the link. But yeah, if you don't, then it is Facebook.com / the WADcast. And also, you can also find me on Instagram under bjacksman82, and also find our page, the WADcast, on Instagram as well. Once again, Instagram.com / the WADcast. And that's really it. I'd say Twitter, but I just barely ever use Twitter at all. So where can they find you?
Well, as always, you can go to Twitter, find me at SkitComic, and you can also find me at WADcastPod and at Semicore Studios, and you'll be able to, keep track of everything that we do here at Semicore Studios. I'm going to have a new show to tell you about within the next few weeks, and it'll be all about streaming services, so look forward to that. You can go to Facebook, find Semicore Studios there, give it a like, and you know what? SemicoreStudios.com has all of the great links that you're going to need for everything, including the WADcast. So find the WADcast, find Semicore Studios, and enjoy all of the things that we do. Well, I guess that's it, Brandon.
Yes. So,
I guess it's
all right,
time for
well,
the message.
Yeah, I guess everyone have a great night. I'm going to let you take it away, Josh.
All right. All right, boys and girls, remember this very important lesson. The only thing standing between you and your dream is you. And as we've talked about tonight, you have no obligation to tone it down or change your dream for anybody. But be mindful, be respectful, and make sure you're doing what you feel is right. So follow it. Follow your dream. Because nobody is going to make you do it. Only you can. So until next week, this has been the WADcast. I'm Josh, that's Brandon. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.